Man, like I would like it was weird because I could like picture my guardian angel just being so disappointed and so tired, like all beat up, like, dude, you got me through everything. Like, what is going on with you?
Well, welcome back to Hard Reset. This is a podcast that we're just kind of talking to people about life change and that are either in the midst of a hard reset or have gone through a hard reset in their life. We hope that this podcast will just maybe relate to just one person, two people that are going through this hard time in their life and be able to take a little bit from this. And I'm super excited about this podcast because we have the best personality and sense of humor at Reset Roofing, is the world famous Felipe Osorio. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm fascinated by you, first of all, because you have just this incredible sense of humor, but English as a second language for you.
Yep.
Right? Because you were born in Colombia and you just bring so much joy to the office and it's so much fun having you on the team. So
I try my best.
Yeah, you succeed at that. So I have, I know the running joke for me in the office now, everyone is on pins and needles. We have to know the answer to this question. Like, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, man. I'm a very clean, hygienic person. So probably be smells, cleanliness. I like to be very organized as well.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Right.
I do appreciate because you drive a company truck, and anytime we drive your truck, it is always super clean. So your life is like that too?
Yeah.
Like if I went to your house right now,
everything will be squeaky clean.
Do you make your bed every morning?
I mean, there's sometimes I won't make it, but I try to make it every day. But I'm always constantly cleaning. Like before I go to bed, I clean everything up, do laundry. I don't pile it up like that. So
You're the dream husband.
Could be.
Yeah. What? Who do you think is the least cleanest person on the team here at Reset Roofing?
You're putting me on the spot, but
say it in Spanish.
Malia.
Shout out to Malia.
Shout out to Malia. Just because of the truck. I don't know how she's at home, but just because of the truck.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Obviously, you're from Colombia.
Yes,
what
sir.
town?
Medellin, yeah.
Which is just incredible. You are fully bilingual.
Yep.
Are you trilingual?
Nah, not yet.
Not yet?
Nah, not yet.
Which one are you working on?
BSing.
You're great at that too. You're great at
Then
too.
I'm trilingual then.
So, like, walk me through, like, growing up, like, as a kid, what did you actually think that your life was going to look like?
I mean, honestly, we grew up in a very low income household in a pretty rough neighborhood. My mom did her best the whole time just to make sure that we had everything we needed. But due to the circumstances and the environment, there's like no really match that you expect from it. It's just, you're just trying to go day by day. A lot of times you don't really have many goals. Like my main goal when I was a kid was to join the Colombian military.
No way.
Yeah.
Is there different branches of the Colombian?
There's different branches, the same as here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So y'all have like an Air Force, an Army, and Navy, and no way.
But then, yeah. And
Which branch did you want to join?
I actually just wanted to join the Army. The thing with the Colombian Army is like, it's very patriotic and it's like, they still hold in a really high level of like a really high standard. So everyone that goes in the military is like a hero. Like they're still considered heroes.
Yeah.
Compared to here where veterans come back and it's just like they're worth nothing, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Or they treat them like that.
Yeah.
Down there is like, if you're in the Army, you're a hero.
So that was going to be like can you make a career out of that?
Yeah, you can make a
30
career.
years?
Yeah, actually, my cousin joined the Army. He did pretty well. He had a couple casualties because, they're still fighting the guerrillas. And the main goal for any Army person in Colombia is to make it to the Colombian battalion, which is a specific battalion of soldiers that they send to international missions. So a lot of them just get sent to Dubai and they just guarding in there. And, it's a pretty good job and pretty good money, yeah.
And it's the Colombian what?
I think the Colombian battalion.
Battalion?
Yeah.
And so they would guard like Colombians that are in Dubai?
No, just like they'll go out there for random humanitarian missions.
Okay.
And but they're not like combat involved. Like at that point, they're just living a good life, to be honest with you. And that's like everyone's goal down there, to make it to that point.
Yeah.
But you had to have certain career and go through a bunch of courses and, like I say, just go to war for a while.
Yeah.
And then they reward you with that.
Did you want to like have a gun and like do that part, or were you just really in it for like what it would mean to your country?
I mean, the thing is, since the 1960s, Colombia's been, I think 1960s or 1940s, no, 1960s, Colombia's been divided by the government and guerrillas. I mean, it's still going on right now.
And guerrillas would be like the drug cartel or just
Communist.
Oh.
So it's basically that war on communism and democracy.
Yeah.
You know, they're very influenced by Cuba and Russia and all of that. And I mean, on paper, it sounds really good what they're trying to do, right? Work for the people and help the people. But they're just extremely violent groups. And they attack the cities once in a while.
No way.
It hasn't happened recently in the main cities, but it still happens in the smaller towns. But they just terrorize everyone with the excuse that they're trying to make the country a better place. So Colombian army, or the Colombian government also has a lot of, I think it's also a lot of propaganda where since I was a little kid, they had a show of like the army. And it was like 20 seasons of this army group just going in there and saving the day and doing all of this. But I don't know, it was just, I just felt like a responsibility that I had to protect the people. And, you know, I really wanted to, but didn't make it there.
Yeah. That's interesting that you say, because I know how much you love your country. I know how much you love this country, but also how much you love Colombia. And that doesn't surprise me. I don't know if I've ever heard you say that you wanted to be in the army, but you know, protecting democracy against communism is like such an admirable job.
Yeah. No, in my heart, it's like split in half, you know, U.S. and Colombia. I love both places.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome. Do you recall a time in your life, right? The whole premise of this podcast is like, how can your story help someone else? And so do you recall a moment in your life where you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this anymore, and just basically have to repent and do a 180? Like a hard reset moment in your life?
Yeah, my hard reset was probably, moving here from Colombia, that was basically out of my hands. So I wouldn't consider that a hard reset. I mean, it was a hard reset, but it wasn't my hard reset. It was something that my mom did for us, or my parents did for us, for my sister and I. But my own hard reset was probably moving to Atlanta from Orlando.
No way.
Yep.
So walk me through that.
So we moved from Colombia. My mom sent us out, my sister and I, by ourselves.
So she's just like, you need to go?
Things got a little rough, and we had the opportunity to come here through my dad's family because they were citizens for the longest, probably 30 years. And
also Colombians?
Yeah, also Colombians.
Okay.
But so my dad got invited to the U.S. from my grandma, or requested. And since he had 2 kids and we were underage, automatically when his documents came out, his kids get it as well, my sister and I. So we got an invitation from the embassy to come to the States. It was actually twice. The first time, my mom was like, there's no way. I'm not going to let you go with your dad. Like, I don't trust him. We probably saw my dad 10, 15 times in Colombia from like babies to 15.
No way.
But my mom was still telling us that he was our dad, and she never put anything like against him.
Yeah.
So we always, still love him as our dad and respected him.
Yep.
So the first time we got the invitation from the embassy, my mom said, absolutely not. Then we get a letter from the embassy a couple months later, and they're like, this is the second chance. If you don't take it, you can never go into the U.S. because you're rejecting a big opportunity. At that point, it was getting a little rough with violence in my neighborhood. I mean, it was always violent, but it was getting a little rougher than usual. So my mom just...
Like gun violence, like...
Gang violence. So the thing down there is like, it's always gang violence. Sometimes you get involved. They have this thing called invisible borders, where you have 2 gangs and you're not supposed to go past certain borders because you get killed, but sometimes you won't even know where the border is. So they started implementing that rule out there, and that's when my mom was like, nah, like, I don't want you to get killed out here. I don't want your sister to end up in, a bad path either. So you guys are going to the States.
So the very first time, did she even tell y'all?
The first time she told us,
Okay.
but we never wanted to come here.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't.
Because you barely know your dad.
Yeah, and it wasn't even about the dad. Like my grandma, my dad's mom, she always told us she was gonna bring us here, but we were very happy in Colombia. Like we didn't really know what the state was or how life was here, and even though it was like very difficult, it was the most beautiful childhood that I could have asked for because I learned a lot of things, and it made me who I am now. So, but yeah, first time my mom told us, we just ignored it. We laugh about it. Second time. The school year in Colombia starts in January and it goes all the way through November. So you don't have like a big summer break or anything like that. You get November and December off for the holidays. We get a letter again. I think it was in September, probably September. Yeah, September. And we get that warning, right? That if we don't accept the invitation, we're going to get banned, basically. So my mom goes, you guys are going to the States.
No option.
No option.
How much English did you speak?
0.
So you're like, you're being forced.
We thought it was a joke. Right? We thought it was a joke.
I mean, it has to be.
But here's the problem. So then it's September. We still got a couple months for school year to be over. And my mom doesn't care about school anymore. So we're like, okay, that's kind of weird. It's kind of sketchy, but we'll just go with it. I mean, have in mind I was still 15 and my sister was 13. So we have other things in our heads. We don't really think about that stuff. I think December comes around. We celebrate the holidays with the family. Everyone's super emotional. Like everyone's just nicer than usual. We literally still think that nothing's going on. I mean, we haven't processed it at this point.
Sure.
It's January comes around. I think we came here on January 24th. So January comes around and we're not going to school, right? And it's just like, hey, Mom, when are we going to start going to school? And she's like, I told you guys you're going to the States. You leave in 25 days. We're like, okay, sure. We still think it's a joke. Then my mom's like encouraging us to like hang out with our friends, make the most time we can with family members and friends, and start throwing stuff away. And we're just like, man, like it started getting a little serious, right? But it still.
Is your mom a big joker?
No, not really.
Okay.
She's, I mean, a little bit. I mean, I get a little bit from her.
But you're like, there's no way that my mom is just going to send us.
No, yeah, because we live with our moms our whole life. And it's just like.
Your whole family's there except for your dad.
Whole family's there. We never really interacted with my family, with my dad's family, only a couple of times. The hardest part was, I would say, middle of January. At that point, my mom starts packing stuff for us. And she's getting all this paperwork done. And we're like, okay, this is getting real. Craziest thing is we didn't believe it until the day of the flight when she woke us up at like 4 a.m, told us to pack our stuff. There was a minivan outside waiting for us with all of our family members. And, we're still half asleep. So we get ready. We still think it's a joke at this point. We go to the airport. We make it to the airport. My mom hired like a chaperone from the airline. So at that point, my mom was very depressed.
Yeah.
It was very hard for her because she never let us leave the house for more than a week, even with other family members. And right now she's saying bye to her kids for like, God knows how long.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. So she's in very rough shape. At this point it starts getting a little scary. Then she literally just gives us a hug, doesn't say anything, hands us over to the chaperone. Chaperone just grabs us. And we go through this little hallway. It's like a glass hallway. So my mom's on the other side of the glass. Dude, that was devastating because my mom is on the other side of the glass with her arms like her hands like this. And she just starts, she didn't react to it the whole time. But that moment, like right before she saw us pass immigration, she just broke down like I've never seen her before. And I mean, it was extremely, at that point, it became a nightmare. Because, I've never seen my mom like that. She probably never seen us like that because everyone just started freaking out. But we're already past security, so there's no going back. So we finally go through it. Our last image of my mom was just her collapsing on that glass.
As a dad, like it makes me emotional just thinking about it, right? Because like, how brave your mom has to be to like, she knows that, man, if you can get here, it's going to be such an incredible life for you. I just can't even imagine I mean, you've told me the story before, but just the visual that I have of her hands on the glass
Yep.
and then her two babies like walking away to a better life. Like we know they're going to be safe and all of that, but like she's not coming.
Nope.
She's not invited.
No. Just because they were never married. They never married. My dad and my mom never married.
Were you emotional?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, it didn't kick in until we made eye contact through that glass. And she hadn't shown any emotions. Like she shut down for the whole month of January. She just shut down. She was very cold. I guess she was trying to detach herself a little bit.
For sure.
But like I said, as soon as we went through security and we just like met up on, different sides of that glass, she just, I mean, her world just went down. She went into a deep depression. We left, it was still, man, it's difficult because we were still like processing
babies,
all
bro.
this information. It's just a lot of information at once. And we only had a suitcase. Like we left all of our toys. We left all of our stuff that we like. We left everything. Like
One bag.
We didn't even bring clothes, like a lot of clothes or anything like that, because it was just like new life, just a whole new life. We make it to the plane. We fly straight to Miami. We didn't go to Orlando yet. We flew to Miami because my aunt is there, my mom's sister. It was, that helped us out a lot because we lived with my aunt for a long time, probably for like 10 years,
Wow.
10, 12 years.
In Miami?
No. We did in Colombia. So it was in the house. It was my mom, my aunt, my sister, and I. And my aunt was like the man of the house. She was the hardworking one. She was always trying to provide because my mom wanted to be that mom that was at home all the time.
Wow.
Until we got a little older, and then she started working and doing all that stuff. So we get to Miami. Our aunt, just welcomes us there. We stayed there for about, say, a month maybe. Miami was way too much. It was overwhelming. Our first impression of Miami, we're driving down, is it Washington Road or Lincoln Road? Like Miami Beach, just going down Miami Beach. And we're getting there, and the first thing we see is like moments right after a guy jumped off a building because he was depressed and just jumped on the main road. No, we were passing it as the cops were getting there.
Oh my
to like surrounding this guy, and it's just like, then it was another hard like a reality check as well, because then she goes, the U.S. sounds great, but it's very stressful. There's a lot of depression, all this stuff, and that was like the first day that we got there. Made us freak out a little bit because it's like, dude, who jumps off a building? Like,
I thought America was like the land of
like you don't even see suicide like that in Colombia. And then the first image that we get is like someone jumping off a building right on the nicest road that they have in Miami, right, with all the luxury cars and stuff. We stayed there for about a month. Then my dad's like, okay, it's time for you guys to come to Orlando because we got to start school. We make it to Orlando. We enroll in school, middle school. Zero English, and that was rough. But they have these bilingual classes.
You're 15 years old.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
31.
31. So, I mean, I know how smart you are, just because I've been able to work with you for almost 5 years. But also, it's amazing to me how fluent you are in English, and you basically been talking English for 15 years.
I mean, I had to learn. I was thrown under the bus. So the first couple of years, we had bilingual classes. When you move here and you're in bilingual classes, you're with a bunch of other bilingual people. You don't speak the language at all. You just go to the group of people that speak your own language.
Yeah, of course.
So first 2 years, didn't learn anything. It took me about a month and a half to learn how to say, I don't speak English, to people when they came up to me and started talking. Because I would get in uncomfortable situations where they'll start talking to me and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, sure, yeah. And then afterwards, they're like, do you even understand what I say? Yeah. And I had no clue what they were saying. So we had to learn to say, I don't speak English. But that took us a while. I was in a bilingual classes for about 2 years. Wait, no, I was still...
Is this like freshman year or
No,
middle
I think
school?
it was the last 2 years. I did the last 2 years of middle school.
Okay.
And then right before going to high school, we took a test, like an assessment test, and I did pretty good on it. Even though it was in English, I did pretty good on it. So they moved me from bilingual classes where I was only speaking Spanish to AP classes in non-bilingual classes as well. So at that point, I was like, man, I got in there and I had no idea what I was doing. But that helped me out a lot because then I was forced to start learning the language. So,
Wow.
and it started there. Then I went to high school, and I went to high school in AP classes again. For some reason, I wasn't that smart.
That can't be true.
But we were also in a very American dominant area in Orlando. So I was probably the only Hispanic kid in that school.
No way.
I had a couple friends, but it was like a very, very small group. But we didn't have the same classes anymore together. So we were split apart.
You were forced to learn.
I was forced to learn.
So how did you learn English so well? Like, is it just because you were forced into these classes?
Yeah, just context, a lot of context. I had one teacher from Cuba, greatest teacher I ever had.
What's his name or her name?
Miss Bonilla.
Miss Bonilla?
Yeah. And she was so strict. She was so mean. She was extremely mean and like very tough, but we learned so much from her. And then at the end, when we graduated and, you know, we went through all of this stuff, she came out, told us how proud she was of us. And she was just the sweetest lady. But during class, she was something else. But it helps us out a lot because it put us on the spot where even if she knew what we were saying, she will not respond unless we spoke English to her.
No way.
Yeah.
Miss Bonilla. So you had mentioned Orlando to Atlanta. So tell me about that. Like what happened in Orlando? Like you're learning English, like everything's great.
So the thing in Orlando, so we moved with our dad. Our dad didn't know how to be a dad, right? So his way of coping with that and trying to make up for all the time he wasted was to spoil us with everything. So I was probably one of the only kids in my class that had a car. I was like 16. I had a little job. I used to work at this convenience store that my dad used to own, and he was always providing us with all the monetary stuff that we needed, so financial stuff.
Yeah.
But he didn't know how to be a dad. So this whole time I was just messing around. I mean, I got kicked out of school because I had about 75 absences in a row.
Wow.
Yep. So funny story with that.
I don't think you've ever called in sick here at Reset.
No, I never called in sick.
Yeah.
No, it was like at that point I didn't know what responsibility was, what accountability was. I was just a 16, 17-year-old kid just going around having a good time. But one day my dad calls me. What I used to do instead of going to school was going to the beach with some friends, like every single day, or just going out and doing stupid stuff. But one day my dad calls me. He used to leave. He used to leave for work before I left for school. So I used to like get ready, wait for him to leave, and then stay home, and then go pick up my friends and go to the beach. So one day, yeah. Then one day he calls me. He didn't really care about like, oh, let me see your grades or anything like that. Like they didn't have my parents' contacts or anything like that. They will contact me directly from school so that no one knew anything. He didn't really care. So one day he calls me and I'm on my way to the beach. But I'm like, okay, he's calling me. It's, class hours. So I'm whispering on the phone. I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, where are you? I'm like, dude, I'm in class right now. Why are you calling me? He's like, oh, that's weird because I have a cop right here at the door. And they're telling me that you haven't been to school in the past 72 days. Ooh, so where are you? Like, where are you actually? I was like, dude, we'll talk later. They're lying, whatever. He's like, funny enough, I went to check the mail today and my Sun Pass had expired. So every time I went through a toll, he would take a picture. And he's got about 5 pages of Sun Pass fees of me going back and forth every day. And he's like, oh, that's funny because I can literally see your car on every single one of these pictures, saying that you were going to Cocoa Beach or
Is your
Tampa.
heart racing at this moment?
It is racing. But I also had a couple of drinks at that point. So I was like, dude, I'll call you later. So
no way.
Yeah. So then I drive back, get home.
Like you spent the whole day at the beach.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't coming
out there. No, I wasn't coming back. I was trying to stay out there as long as I could.
Heck yeah.
Then I come back. I'm expecting this whole overreaction, but because I didn't really know how to handle the situation. So he's just like, dude, get it together. I'm like, okay, well, that's it. It's like, yeah, just get it together. I was like, okay, cool.
Because he didn't know how to be a dad.
So I still didn't get it together. After that happened, got kicked out of school. Ended up going to charter school. It was my last opportunity. And it's basically a school where the cops are your teachers. So you cannot miss school. You have to be there for, I think it's like 7-8 hours sitting on a computer, just going through all of your classes. Like you don't really have a schedule. You just go at your own rhythm. I almost got kicked out of there too because I started missing school again. Then I think I only had a year because, I only had to do a year there. I only had a year left. But I was still slacking so much that I stayed there for 2 years. I wasted another year in there. And finally, and I was about to waste more time, but then my mom and Willie, my stepdad, they called me and they're like, dude, you're not doing anything down there. Like, just finish school, come up here. We'll help you get it together and just, basically restart your whole life.
Or reset
your life. So at that point, I'm like, okay, cool.
So they're living in Atlanta now.
They're living in Atlanta. Yeah, my mom ended up getting married to some American dude that I had no idea about 2 years later. She calls me going, hey, I'm going to Atlanta. I'm like, okay, sure. Then she shows up in Atlanta and I'm like, Mom, we can give you documents if you want documents. You don't have to marry an American guy.
Yeah.
Don't be like that. I'm actually in love. And, ended up being a cool story too. But love the guy, love Willie, and love my mom as well.
Yeah, I've met Willie, not your mom. So
yeah, you'll meet her
one day
sometime. But so they call me and they're like, get it together, right? Finish school and we'll help you out with everything you need up here. We'll
finish high school, like get your GED.
Yeah. No, it was still a high school diploma.
Okay.
So for the charter school, it's still a high school diploma. If I got kicked out of there, I would have had to get a GED.
Okay.
So that was like my last chance to get a high school diploma. So finally, I start going to my classes, doing all this stuff. I think I finished 2 years of school in like 6 months. So I could have done all of that. I could have done all that work in 6 months.
Yeah, because you're taking AP class. Like clearly, you're a pretty smart guy.
And I waited for like 2 years and a half, just sitting there wasting my time.
So what motivated you to pack up and?
They gave me, they helped me when I talked to my mom and Willie. They gave me they helped me get some purpose. I was like down there in Orlando. I was just enjoying my time. Like I say, no consequences, no responsibilities, no nothing. So I didn't really have a drive to do anything. But then they're like, hey, come up here, reset everything. We'll help you start from zero. We just need you to finish school and we'll support you here with whatever you need. We'll get you started with whatever you need. And I don't know what that motivated me so much. And I finished up in 6 months. I got home right after school, right after I finished. I didn't even go to graduation. So right after I finished all my classes, they said, well, they're going to mail me my diploma. So they mailed me my diploma a couple of days later. And as soon as that happened, I got home, packed my bags, put them in my car, say bye to my dad, say back to my ex back then, and just left. Got in the car and headed north. I was just like that, like literally in a weekend.
No way.
Yeah. Then I got here, and Will is pretty smart with money, and I didn't even know about credit at that point, right? Like he's the one that got me on the right track with credit. He helped me find a job, first restaurant job that I ever had.
Which was what?
J. Alexander's.
Yeah.
Down in Peachtree Corners. So he really got me on the right track with my mom. Started doing pretty well. Still, I'm pretty young, so I started going a little bit crazy. Willie sat me down. It's like, hey, you need to get it together. I know you're doing everything right, but you're a little crazy with partying and all this stuff. He's a very respectful person. So when he told me that,
he's very tall, so he's a little intimidating too.
Yeah. No, he is. But he's one of those guys that he's very tough, but at the same time, he's also very fair. So he sat me down and he's like, you either get it together and stay with us, or we need to find other ways to like figure this out. And I don't know why I respected that so much from him, that instead of just arguing or anything like that, I thank him for it. I found an apartment probably a couple weeks later, and I just moved out of the house. I was like, not because I was mad or anything. I was just like, I respect you all so much that I don't want you all to go through this stuff with me. Like I know you'll want to help me. I don't want to be helped right now. But I'm not going to disrespect y'all's house or disrespect y'all. So I just left and I started living on my own. I think it's probably like 20, maybe 19, 20, maybe.
Wow. That's incredible. Why do you think like after that conversation that you had with Willie, like why did you like, oh, I need to start my life and an apartment? And
I think it's the way he was talking. Like I say, he's very tough, but very, very fair. So he went straight to the grain. He's just like, dude, we cannot be doing this in the house. You cannot be driving around drunk. You cannot be doing all this stuff. You cannot be partying every day. This is not a hotel. You still have to respect our house. We're having you here. We're more than willing to help you, but you have to respect our house. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that. So the best option for me was to leave. Instead of disrespecting them, ruining the relationship, I just removed myself from the situation. So but in a good way.
So like a 1-bedroom, or did you...
I actually ended up going with some roommates, some friends that I had at the restaurant. And I was there for, I think, for a year. And then I moved out on my own.
Were they super clean like you?
Yeah, they were pretty clean.
Yeah.
I've been lucky with the roommates again. So luckily.
Yeah. So Jay Alexander's, you start living on your own, having a sense of freedom.
Yep.
Right?
I mean, I had this sense of freedom for the longest because, like I was saying, in Orlando, I had no responsibilities, no consequences. I mean, I was probably 16 and I was going to clubs and I was just getting crazy. It's just, and my dad didn't really care. So
yeah,
and that was my only like authority figure, and he didn't really care.
And then Willie kind of put some boundaries on you and or some guardrails and like, hey,
he did.
This is actually what it's like to be a man, and like, hey, this is where you need to be heading.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he literally in probably like 6 months he created this path for me to reset my life.
Yeah. So what's it like? What's it been like since that hard reset? And Willie has that great conversation with you, and you move on your own. And
it's been great. I mean, I moved out, had a little bit of a crazy couple years, probably like 3-4 years. I was going a little crazy. Luckily, I never got into trouble. Never got arrested. At this point, I talk to my family members and my friends, and it's like, dude, you're lucky that you're even alive. But
because of like drugs and alcohol, or because of like how
drugs, alcohol, a lot of dumb stuff that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
And
I have that same story, man.
And I regret doing it. You know, like sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I didn't waste all my money on this or that, and my time as well. But that craziness stage of my life went away when one day I'm just driving home, super drunk. I have drugs in my car, a lot of drugs in my car. And my car breaks down, right? This is in I think it was Duluth, in an area where there's so many cops, right?
What kind of car was it?
It was a little Mazda. It was like like a hatchback Mazda. And
what color?
Red. I always like red.
2-door, 4-door?
4-door.
Okay.
But I had already been pulled over twice by the cops when I was drunk and I had drugs in my car, and I never got in trouble.
No way.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I could be still in jail by now.
Smooth talker.
I know, but also, I don't know, man. I always thought that I had this like guardian angel with me.
Yeah. And
I know that I had I don't know how people perceive this, but I know that I had a guardian angel because there was situations where I shouldn't even be here at some point, right? So my car breaks down. It's right next to a school. And like I say, I have a lot of drugs in my car, and then I'm drunk and all of this. Couples up. It's at a Wendy's. I had to pull over at a Wendy's because my car broke down, right? So I pull over at a Wendy's. It's like 4 a.m. Couples up to me and checks on me, right? And I was like, I put the drugs in a Coca-Cola can, right? And I was like, I'm just talking to the officer. And I'm trying to be nice. It's always about being respectful and just being nice. Like, I'm not going to be arguing. I'm a happy drunk, and, So I was just being nice. He starts looking around, didn't really see anything. I don't know how he couldn't tell that I was drunk. I've been drinking since like probably 8 o'clock at night, and it was 4 a.m. at this point. And he just offered to help me out. So he's just like, I'll help you out. We can move the car out of the way, because he was on the way still, like out on the main road. So he helped me move the car. I get back in the car. I leave it there, right? I had to ask management. I had to like call management the next day for Wendy's to tell them not to tow my truck because something happened. So I left it there. I make it home. I just lay down and I'm like, man, like my guardian angel, like I had a feeling that was the last time he was going to save me. It was this very eerie feeling because it had happened so many times. Like I got pulled over so many times, didn't get any tickets. Like I've never been in trouble or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, I was a little crazy, but I'm still a decent human being.
Yeah.
And then that time I was like, man, like it was weird because I could like picture my guardian angel just being so disappointed and so tired, like all beat up, like, dude, you got me through everything. Like, what is going on with you? I mean, when I was in Orlando, it would be like I was the kind of guy that would start like drinking in Orlando and wake up in Miami, like at the beach, like not knowing how I got there.
No way.
Yeah. So I was like, I picture my guardian angel and I'm like, man, he's so beat up. All his wings are like, the feathers are gone and he just looks like a naked parrot, you know? Like, I was like, this is it for me. Like, I don't think I'm going to get away with it anymore because I got away with it way too many times. And at that point, I was like, okay, that day I had that thought. I still get crazy that night, go until 10 in the morning. I'm sitting at Waffle House with my best friend after we started drinking after our shift the day before. And we're sitting there, we just look at each other and we're like, dude, we cannot keep doing this anymore. I was like, yeah, you're right. You know, let's just stop. And I think at 10 o'clock in the morning at Waffle House in Peachtree Corners, we just made the decision to just go straight. I'm a very drastic person sometimes, with everything actually. So that day I made the decision. I stopped drinking. I stopped doing drugs. I was sick for like 4 months. Maybe 3 months.
Withdrawals?
Very sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I was going to die. But
Did you go to the hospital or doctor?
no, dude. I literally just locked myself
You're
at
that
home.
stubborn?
Yeah, I'm very stubborn. So I locked myself at home and I was very sick. But, you know, afterwards, I straightened up after that.
Yeah.
So. And like I say, I knew that my guardian angel wasn't going to save me again.
A follow-up question about your guardian angel. Do you think is a guy or a girl?
Someone asked me that recently. Like, I think after someone asked me this, we had a conversation about it. And I think it's probably a girl.
Okay. And English or Spanish?
Probably English.
Oh, yeah?
But very, very patient girl. Because, man, hey, if he was a man, he would have just... No, he would have just
deserted
left.
you a
He
long
would have
time
just,
ago.
yeah, left me the first time I got pulled over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably an American girl.
Yeah. After that Waffle House moment, like, where did you go? Like, what happened?
So that was at 10 in the morning. I had a meeting at work at 10:30. So 30 minutes after that, like, I mean, I haven't gone home or anything. So I just go to
Is this at J. Alexander's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go to the bathroom, you know, wash my face, try to fix my hair a little bit, go to that meeting at 10:30. It's like an hour meeting. Then we have
Like
the
an all staff meeting or like you?
I think it was bartenders.
Okay.
So we have the meeting. We're finally done with that. I tell them I'm sick and I just go home. And for the next couple of weeks, I'm like on and off from work because at that point, like I said, I got pretty sick.
Yeah.
So I was just on and off, just showing up sometimes. They were pretty understandable of the situation, so never really had any issues with them. So it worked out pretty well. And then after that, I just stayed at Jay's for a while. Then I went to help manage an Italian restaurant in Peachtree Corners as well.
Boutique was it Olive Garden?
No, it wasn't Olive Garden. It was like a high-end Italian place. Afterwards, I went to Branch and Barrel where I met you. And I was there for about a year and a half. Then COVID happened. I happened to have your business card in my wallet still.
Yeah.
When I sent you that email to ask you about work, I was down in Florida. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Can you start this week or can you start tomorrow or something like that? And I'm sitting down in Florida like, okay, time to pack my stuff and just head back. So I actually drove that same day back for your interview. I think the interview was the next day or like a day later. But
where was our interview? Do you remember?
It was the barbecue place on 20.
Oh, Q?
Q.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. I can't imagine it really being an interview. So I remember us going, Tracy and I went out to dinner and we sat at the bar and just like struck up a conversation with you.
Yep.
And I remember asking you, I was like, man, you speak great English. I was like, do you speak Spanish as well? And you're like, oh yeah, I speak Spanish.
Yeah, I remember you came out to me and you're like, hola. And I was like, dude, I speak English. What are you talking about?
Racist.
The El sandwich? I was like, yeah, the sandwich, sure. Dude.
I need a sandwich-o. Yeah, but it's been an incredible journey to have you on this team. I still remember getting the email from you saying, and I remembered vividly who you were. And I was grateful for COVID because you came on board and you've really kind of transformed our operations department, especially like how we lead our teams, our crews.
No, I mean, I take a lot of pride in Reset. You know, people say it's just a job, but I do, whatever I do, I try to put my 100% on it. And like, I take a lot of pride into the company. I always try to make Reset just stick above everyone else.
Yeah. You do a great job with that.
So,
and now that you don't have a guardian angel, like you kind of need this place, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, I mean it's crazy because I mean I gotten so close to everyone here.
Yeah.
I don't like saying that. Oh, your workplace can be your family, whatever. But you know, it's pretty close to that.
Yeah.
You guys care about us so much, in a personal level, and we feel comfortable just opening up to each other. And
You are the chief vibe factor of this, the CVO, the chief vibe officer of this company. Because when you're not here, it's not the same. And I'm so thankful to have you on this team. Because like you take your job very seriously, because like your job is like if your job doesn't go well, none of our jobs go well, right? It's like obviously we need to sell things, but also we've got to perform that way. And so you've done a great job with that. My kind of final question or closing question is like looking back and through this conversation, right? We've had a couple different resets that you've gone through. Like, what do you wish in that moment of like packing up and leaving Orlando and going to Atlanta, or packing up in Medellin and going to it? Like, what do you wish someone would have been like, hey, Felipe, this?
I mean, I don't really think anything of it. I think the way it happened was perfect. To be honest with you, I mean, it was rough, but I don't really. I mean, it's been a good experience, to be honest with you.
So almost just like trust the
process. Yeah. Just ride along. Trust the process. That's it.
Well, I'm so grateful that you took the time to tell your story. I know this is gonna be super helpful to some people, and obviously, I appreciate you making the time and hoping one day to meet your mama. What's her name?
Alejandra.
Alejandra.
You'll meet her.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. Let's end it on a high five.
Nice.
Wow, what an episode. I have been dying to hear that story from Felipe, and I'm just thankful for his transparency talking about that. It made me emotional just listening to it as a dad. Like, I can't even imagine what his mom went through, of that moment of like saying goodbye to her kids, and then him taking AP classes and he barely knows English. Like, that's just crazy to me. He's such an awesome guy. And if you want to see more of Felipe, if you buy a roof from us, you'll see him all the time, that entire day, which is great. Obviously, if you know anyone that needs a roof or a roof repair or roof wash or gutter cleaning, roof inspection, we would love to be those people for you. You can get our contact information below, but look forward to the next episode. Thanks for joining us.